This program is our Fathertime. It's an election program. Of all the programs that I work with and I put together, all right, this is probably the one that I enjoy the most, the one that really, really, makes me feel like, oh wow, computers are really smart, can do a lot of good things. Uh, it's one of my favorite programs. Of course, I like the Star Treks because this is my baby, and this is also my baby. But this one over here, remember years ago, people would call you and say, "Hey, I hear you do electional chart for people to get married, and I want an electional chart, to get married. How much you charge?" And back in the '60s, I would say, "Okay, my fee is $50." And man, they wouldn't speak on the phone for 10 minutes and then say $50 because all they thought was that you close your eyes and say hum hum and give them a date, And years ago, I mean, long-handed, it would take you a month or at least a week to come out with an electional chart. Then computers came in and, we had regular program and try to do an electional chart for somebody to get married. And I'll show you some example later. It's almost next to impossible to do it with a regular program. Now, I charge again, somebody wants an electional chart, $250. It takes me 10 minutes. All right, and that's money. That's the way you make money. And you know something? It's fantastic. So let me see what we got here. All right, with this here, I'm going to start. This is sort of a complex program, and yet it's not complex. It's so easy to use. It's got 3 levels of artificial intelligence. It's got something that takes care of the Ascendant, because that's important, and then it's got something that takes care of the Quoran and the Quisitive, and then another artificial intelligence that takes care of the Moon. So, because, let's say you want to start a business. You say, okay, 1 in 10 is a business, right? Because career, business, you start that and you do an electional chart. This will do it. But then later on, in a second and third version, I said, well, gee whiz, why can't we build up new artificial intelligence that if I want to say, for instance, 2 in 10, in other words, I want to make money with the business that I'm going to start because the second house is money and the career. So if the second house is good and the 10th house is good, then that means that this business is going to be capable of making money. But then you got to watch the Ascendant because that's the image of the business. So the Ascendant is always important. And so this is why that I build another artificial intelligence that if you don't use the Ascendant as acquisitive or the Quoran or the 2 rulers, then it takes care of it. It kicks in the other one. And it always kicks in the Moon because the Moon is also very important. So as you can see, and people say, well, computers are dumb. No, computers well done, well put together is a lot better than the human mind. Let me tell you that, I mean, especially in this field. In my horary program, is better than me to answer a horary question? No, I don't think so. But it helps me. But, the computer's not as smart as I am because there's too many things that you have to watch for. This thing here is a little bit different. So let's look at it. Let's see that somebody wants to start a business and, here you can put different things. Let's see that from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m. wants to sign a contract, sign a business with a lawyer. Okay? So we'll say 5 p.m. right here. And I'll say, okay. All right. Now, here you can put 4 or 5 times. Let's see that you wanted to do something from 10 to noon, especially like a marriage. They want to get married from 10 to 1. Then they want to get married from 5 to 7. All right, so you can split that. You can go back and do another one here from 5 to 7 here. So you can do all kinds of different timing, and I'll show you that later. So I'll say okay and do that. Now, I'm going to go up here, and let's see somebody wanted to start a business, right? And they wanted to start it in June. Okay, if I click all the X here, it takes them all out. If I click all the X here, it takes it out. If I click on all, it puts all the days. But here I don't want all the days. All right, so I'm going to click the X, and if I take my mouse and I hold it down, I slide it up like this, and I go like this, bang, 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 and I colored everything here by holding the mouse down. This is when I want to start a business, Monday through Friday, all this time. All right, now. The next thing that I want to do is I could start here. I want to start a career, but I think after you get I want to start a business. Let's see. Oh, spell it wrong, so I'm gonna have to spell it right. Start. I'm a bad typer. I mean. Okay, start a business. I could say this. And it says a business. I spelled it wrong right here. I spelled business wrong. Let me try it. Siness. Okay, so I'm going to do this. Is it a partnership or a career? We'll put it a career. Okay, partnership would be 7th house. Now it tells me it's a 2 and a 10. I mean, this is great. You do electional for that. It's going to work. But to me, after years of experience, I said, well, and my 3 level of artificial intelligence, I said, why 1 and 10? How about 2 and 10? That would there, I mean, money and business. And the program will always take care of the ascendant and the moon, so I don't have to worry about that, okay? So I'm going to do 2 and 10 instead. I'm going to put it myself. And I want to use this. I want to use all the aspect. Here, if I use orb here, what happens here is going to, the tighter the orb, the more the artificial intelligence is going to give weights to. So I'm going to use all the aspects, 7-degree orb. I can calculate within 10 minutes or 5 minutes. I'm going to use 10 for now because, if I calculate a little tighter, it takes a little longer. But I think 10 I can do good enough. Then I find a place here that I want to start this business. So if your client lives in California, you just get the atlas, you get the California. Here we'll keep it up into, the Connecticut. Let's say the people's in Connecticut. But I noticed one thing wrong. I could go up here and I could click on the atlas and type West Starford. Make sure that I got the right time zone, FORD. Okay, and I do that. And, again, what did I do here? Oh, my typing again. I think it's getting late during the day, and okay, West Starford, Connecticut. All right, so it's in West Starford. It gives me a 4 time zone because it's looking at June. I had a 5 time zone before. All right, so I'm all set, right? So I got everything set up here. I got what I need. I got the house. The next thing I want to do is that I want to no void, of course. Sometimes, people say, well, if you send your IRS tax, do void, of course, or you do an election for something that you want void, of course, moon, you can say, I want a void, of course, moon. All right? And it will find, or no additional rules. Here, I don't want a void, of course, moon. I don't want a retrograded ruler. All right? Again, if somebody was suing you and you want to see a lawyer, then you might want the 7th house to be retrograde. You might, here I don't want any. And here is increase the moon. They say, well, if you increase the moon, that means a new moon, that things last longer. I don't know. Sometimes I use it, sometimes I don't. Okay, so now, as you can see here, I'm all set. I got the right house, I got the rules, I got the aspect that I want to use. I know here I could use only applying aspect, but I want to use both for now. See, with this you can manipulate it and then run it and then manipulate it again and run it again and see what you come out with. So now I think I got pretty well everything, so I could say click and it's going to start calculating it. So, it's like I said, this thing here is a godsend because I can do an electional chart within 20 minutes and even less than that and make $250. And like I said, you could say, well, I can do better. Well, I'll give you 5 days, and you won't. Well, I won't give you that long because but at least I'll give you an afternoon, and you won't come out with as good as I am. All right, because a computer does it better than the human mind. I don't care. I consider myself, I used to be a nuclear physicist and I majored in math and stuff like that. I consider to have a great mind and a great memory, but that's it. Now look at this. Give you all the rules here. It says that the planets, and it says the ruler of the second here. All right. It makes an aspect to the rule of the 10, that's 700 points. And it gives you all the rules that I use here. There's one bad aspect. The bad aspect is that either the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus squares the Ascendant somewhere. These are not bad guys to square the Ascendant, I'll tell you that. Okay? So now, look at the points here. It gives this one here as positive 3,000 points, and then you can go down, 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 and then if I go way down, I start seeing a negative point. And here it didn't have any negative. But if you do, and just for the hell of it, let's look at the one with the least point. All right. So I'm going to click on it. See, it's got a lot of red. All right. And I can look at the wheel. And when I look at it, we look at the 10th house. We look at Venus, and the Sun. So we look at Venus and the Sun, doesn't make any aspect. Venus is square Saturn. The Sun is opposition to Pluto, although it's in a kite. All right. So it's not the best one. But let's look at the best one. All right. You'll see what it does. Here's 3,400 points. Look at that. All the red. I want to look at this. Look at this chart here. All right. It's got a great kite over here, and it involves the 10th house, and Mercury's involved, trine to the moon. It's involved into the kite, and look at this. There's only one square, and that's Jupiter. Remember, we said that was one square right here. Jupiter squares the Ascendant. I love it because Jupiter square gives it more energy. And a lot of people say in the election chart you need some squares because that strikes the energy. The squares make it a little bit better. Now I say this is a great chart. I can look at this one here and look at this and look at this one again. Another great chart. And I can look at this one, the third one, and then I can decide which one I'm going to take. See, now this one's got 3 squares and as we go down, if we look at 15 here, the point, of course, it's going to have a lot more garbage. All right, but this chart is still good. It's still very high in squares. So as you can see, I could have gone up and I could have done 5 degree orb. I could have say, I use this, and let me not use this. Let me just not give weight to that. Just remember I said if you use the orb, the tighter the orb, the more of the aspect, the more points that it gives. Let's try it without it, and I'm going to do that. So again. It doesn't take long for you to start fooling around with this, and then you have the client's chart. Then you can find the one that really give you high points and yet has a good connection to the client's chart. A lot of times I would look at a client's chart first and say, well, the chart is very good for the month of June. Why don't we try it? But it's not good for the month of June because they got Saturn on their Sun or something. Why don't we wait till August? Why don't we wait? So that's another way that you can work around electional chart, looking at the client first and then decide when is the best time, because we know that the natal chart is more important than anything anyway. We know that. Look at this one here. The points are even higher. And when we look at this, we can see the same thing. All right. So now I could go up there and do it with 5 degree orb. I could do the same thing. And as you can see, this chart here, you could go out there and do that. You're not going to come up as good as this. I don't care what you do. All right. Now, let's see that. I'm going to clear this up. Okay, and somebody wants to get married. Those are the hardest chart to do. Why are they the hardest? All right, because somebody wants to get married only Sunday and Saturday, and they only going to get married from 10 to 1, and then or 5 to 7. All right, try to do that. Well, we can do this with this. I can go up and I can say day of the week, right? And I can say, okay, I'm going to do all of June. They want to get married in June till July, right here. All right, and I want to do it at 2/13, and I want to do it only. They want only go and get married on Sunday and Saturday. All right, so but they want to get married here from 10 a.m. to, let's see, 1 a.m. 1 p.m. 1 p.m. and then or the next choice that they have, they want to get married from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's usually the time that they say, either late afternoon or early morning or late afternoon. All right, so early evening. So, but if they want to do it different, then you say okay. Now we know that we want to get married only on Saturday. We want to do it from June and July. We want to do it right here, okay? And get married, of course, is 1 and 7. I could type it. I want to get married. It's going to give me 1 and 7 anyway, but I want to do it myself. No void, of course, no retrograde, no this, 7 and 10 minutes. All right, so again, the place is what I want. This is fine. So let's see what this is going to give me here. All right, so I'm going to say calculate. There. It's only calculating those times. There. All right. So now it tells me that on June 6th, on June 2nd, here is the highest point. So I can look at it. And here. This is what it gives me. It's got some squares, but when we look at the ruler of the 1st and the 7th, it's Venus and Neptune. It's in trine. Neptune trine Saturn. Saturn trines the Ascendant. Again, it's got a kite involving the ruler of the 1st, the ruler of the 7th, and the 4th house. And so it doesn't have any squares. You notice how it moved the squares a little bit out of the 7, out of the 1st, and what have you. All right. Now, let's say you don't quite like this chart. All right. You figure, I don't like the 10 degrees. It conjuncts a fixed star, or it's my grandmother's son, or you know how astrologers think. Oh God, 10 degrees of Virgo. Oh, I hate that because every time 10 degrees of Virgo, the cloud on my cat's meow. Okay, so what you do is that you keep it there, all right? You set this for 1 minute, and you can advance it. You see how it advanced the wheel? And now I could move. Oh, I'll put the son of a gun with the moon in the 7th house. That's better. Okay, or I can move the stuff somewhere. So sometimes what it does, it may give you an intercepted house, and you say, I don't want an intercepted house, so I'm going to start moving this stuff around a little bit. All right, so you can do that. We can look at the second wheel. And there it is right here. All right, that one is a little tougher because of the moon in there. And but again, you have to remember here, this one is not bad. All right, you have to remember that. Look at the time we're using it's 10 a.m. All right, we're using this one here. If we look at it, it's 12:07. PM, and that's right afternoon. Remember, we're very limited with time here. We only want to get married from 10 to 1 and 5 to 7, so not the whole day. So what I'm saying to you is that try to do that long-handed. It's almost impossible, all right, to do that long-handed. But you can't change the sky. All you got to do is find the best time in the sky for you to give you something, all right? And sometimes here, you see an intercepted house, like I said. I don't like to have an intercepted 3rd and some. It could be bad for communication. Well, we can probably turn the chart like this. There, all right? I'm got rid of the interception, but now I got the moon in the 7th house. So maybe that's not what I want. Maybe I can do it a little bit earlier, but as you can see, the intercepted, now I'm out of it. And that's at 12:30 a.m. and it's got a square with Neptune in the 7th house. Again, you can manipulate it but at least you got something you can work with without saying, oh my God, there's 4 weekends in the month of June. There's blah, blah, blah. But if you don't like it, then you can move it somewhere else, because sometimes people say, I want to get married in June. Okay, so call the people and you say, okay, June is not the best time, but this is the best time. It's not the best time of the year for electional chart, especially if you only want to get married on Saturday and Sunday. All right, but I can try to do it in August. Then all you got to do is go back and say, okay, let's try August too. And then you put August, you say calculate. So all of this is so easy to work with. All right, so this is where this program is worth its money in gold. I mean, I make more money with this program because professional astrologers from all over the world will say, Alphee, can you do an electoral chart for this person to start a business, one of my clients, to get married, to sell a house, whatever. Again, sell a house. When you sell a house, I use the 4th and the 7th. Why do I use the 4th and the 7th? Because the 4th is the house, the 7th is the buyer. Every time you sell something, you need a buyer, and the buyer is the 7th house. All right? No, if 7th house is afflicted, when you sell something, you ain't going to sell it. All right? It's as simple as that. So you need that buyer. And remember I said it takes care of the moon, it takes care of the ascendant. So there it is. All right. So the program does it for you. We got a couple of tools there we do that we do. This is the option when you can sell, the rulers that you want to use, the house system that you want to use. If you want to use couch, go ahead. If you want to use whatever, and so you set that up. Once you set it up, get out of the program, stays there forever. All right. Now, we have tools over here. And the profile, I sort of like it in one way. We have it in our program. In a lot of our program that you're looking for answers. And let's see, we can say here now, and we can say June. And 1st of June, or we can even start in May for that matter, May 1st, all right? And I'll go over here and 213, and I'm going to go into August, for instance, right? So now I can say I'm doing it from here. No. Okay. All right. Now, if I do calculate there, I put a natal chart. The natal chart that's up right now, will tell you, the aspect that's strong for you, and it'll tell you the best time for the 10 and the 7, for the 1st and the 10 to be better, as you can see. And we can make it bigger here, and it says that in July it's better, and in July is better here. It didn't do June, but we could, again, try it again into June and say, okay, calculate that. And it uses the rulers, and it gives me something like this. All right. So as you can see, June 29, and that's with the natal chart. You can do that. But one of the best tools that I do, and sometimes before I look at the person's chart. All right. Look at his his solar arcs. Look at his transit, backward transit, and his progression to see in June if it says, yeah, you can get married. All right. The next thing that I look at is I go into tools, and then we have a thing here called right here, Stellium. So I go up here and I say option, and I want grand trine, grand squares, kite, finger of God. Then I don't care about these things here because they don't hardly happen. So I'm only worried about this, and I'm going to say, okay, again. Let me put T max last here, and I'm going to go and say here, and I'm going to go to 214. Okay, and I'm going to go into here, right here, and I say June. All right, and now I could have done it before June. Let's do it before June. All right. As a matter of fact, we'll do it for January, just for the fun of it. So now we start in January 13, and we go to the 14 and find these things. I'm going to say object. I'm going to add the moon in these things, and planets, and I'm going to say a 7-degree orb. Okay, and I say calculate. All right. So now Well, there's nothing. Of course there's something. I click on pattern. Now I got all the patterns here. All right. So I know that I got grand square here, so I don't want to do anything with grand square. As you can see, look at the, whoa, all right. I got grand square here. I don't want to do grand square there. But you see kites and grand trine. So here I got mystical rectangle. You know, mystical rectangle is this, where you have a trine, a sextile, a trine, and a sextile. All right, mystical rectangle. But I want to see where I have a grand trine, as you can see, and a kite right here. I can go there. You can see that. There's a grand trine here, zap, 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 and a kite. All right. So that means I'm going to have that pretty well from here. All right, and it gives me the date at the bottom. But I'm interested in this time right here because you can see a lot of grand trine. This T-square, though, I can probably sneak a grand trine right in between here where there's no T-square. You see, I snuck a grand trine there, no T-square. All right, so I may want to do that and not having the kite. I may want to do that. It all depends what you want. All right, but I'm interested in this time right here. I can hold my mouse down. I can make it bigger, bigger. Now I'm big. Alright, I can, if I want to go back to the original thing, I can. These are the screen manipulators. So let's look at it again. I want to hold it down right there. So now somebody wants to start a business. I can say, wow, there's nice kites over here, but there's a T-square. But there's a kite right here. There's no T-square. Whoa, right there. All right, you notice that? There's a kite, but no T-square right here. And so I think this is great right here. I can sneak within that. Here, there's grand trine right here, but there's no kite. All right, so you can move that around, make notes of it, and then work around these patterns. This is, to me, is a great program to really know what's going on in the sky at all the time and say, gee, if I can get something around here where I don't have any T-square and I don't have any grand square right here from here to here, I can look at this and I can say, all right, I can move my mouse here, and down the bottom it gives me a date. It says from here, that's 6/12, all right, to right here. Well, here, no, I have a T-square here. I have to move from here, I'm sorry. 6/18 to 6/26. No T-square, no grand square, blah, blah, blah. Great time to do anything. You see, then you go around, you know you got some kites, you know you got some grand trine to play around with. Hey, then you can throw that in Fathertime and, you know, come up and say, Fathertime, give me a time within that date, and we're all set. So you can see how powerful this program is. I mean, this program is, like, to me, is a moneymaker for me. Because I tell you, if you don't believe me, that electional work on my website, Alphee at alphee.com, www.alphee.com, www.alphee.com. I wrote an article there how important, how good this election is. Somebody, make a long story short, somebody at a house in the Virgin Islands went to see a famous astrologer. The famous astrologer charged her $600. Now I don't know if she's telling me the truth. And what he did is that he gave her a time to sell a house where Cancer was rising and the moon was on the ascendant. And he said, well, you know, the Cancer rules house, and the moon in Cancer rules house. You're going to sell your house. I mean, how stupid that is, all right? And but he fails to see that the moon on the ascendant was squaring Mars in the fourth house, all right? I mean, duh, all right? And so anyway, what happened is that a year and a half she wasn't selling her house, so she started networking, and everybody says, call Alphee. So I gave her a time. It was Fathertime, beautiful type with kite and everything. I said, at this point, all right, be in a Virgin Island, have a sign made, and draw that thing in the ground. Just stuck it out. As she's putting at the exact time, she walked outside with a hammer and she's banging the sign in front of her house. This couple walks in and said, you selling your house? Within 2 days, she sold her house. All right. So that's how electional work. I mean, I tell you, I take care of about 25 international business. They've been with me since the 60s. All right. But every time they came with me, we did an electional chart and we had them reincorporated. Because otherwise I don't work with you. Reincorporated to a time that we know, the time they signed their corporation paper. I have a chart to work with. I know it's a good chart. And they've been with me for close to 50 years. So the stuff works, all right? And Father Time is a moneymaker, and it's a real fantastic program. I mean, so if you're an astrologer, this should be in your toolbox. I tell you, it's the best thing around.